Hello and welcome back to the Lemonade Mindset. I am so happy to be back here with you. My name is Rebecca Pierce. I am the host of the Lemonade Mindset, brought to you by RLP Productions. And wherever you are listening to me at, I hope you are having a fantastic, beautiful, and productive day. Where I am at, it is sunny outside, it is warm, and I am grateful as always to be here with you. Last week we had a bit of a technical issue. We weren't able to come on here with you, but I'm glad we're back. We got everything resolved, and I hope again you will enjoy this episode as we step out of Black History Month, even though we want to celebrate, the men and women of the African American community who have worked tirelessly and effortlessly to bring justice to the world and to fight for what is right. But we want to also segue into Women's, what I call Her Story Month, as we celebrate the women who have also paved the way for our country to have some of its best and brightest moments and opportunities. So, welcome back. I'm so happy to be here again with you today as we talk about well behaved women rarely making history. And of course, that quote comes from Eleanor Roosevelt. Again, she said, well behaved women rarely make history. Now, I remember hearing this quote as a young girl, and I never quite understood what she meant by that until I became an adult and until I became an educator. And what I came to understand that phrase means is that sometimes you have to speak up and speak out and do that which is right by others. And so, in Miss Roosevelt's era and the era before her, women were taught to be quiet, be seen and not heard. But many women, our ancestors, pioneering women, felt like if there is something grievous happening, we should be able to say something about it. We should stand up for that which is right. And so when you hear the expression well behaved women rarely make history, it is implying that sometimes you just have to take a stand. And that might buck the system, it might make people uncomfortable, it might put you in a difficult situation, but it is necessary for the greater good to stand up and do that which is right. And I'm here to tell you that as an educator, I pretty much practice this every day because it is a difficult field to be in when you see that there's such a great need and it is not being fulfilled for our students. And for many would argue for the the long-term benefits of our country. And so we want to celebrate Women's History Month by, of course, honoring the women who have paved the way for many of us to be here, to be involved in politics, to have a place in the world of entertainment and the social sciences and education as well. But I also wanted to take this time to make sure that we understand the strength that is necessary to be a misbehaved woman. The strength that is necessary to be a misbehaved woman. And, I was speaking to a group a couple weeks ago, and I was telling them how I do not like the expression superwoman. I don't like to be called a superwoman because it implies that I don't get a chance to rest. It implies that I don't get to sit down and love on me for a while because I am too busy out saving everyone else. And it is important to understand that we have but one life to live and one body in which to live it. And as we talked about a few weeks ago, the number one killer of women is heart disease. And I find that so cruelly ironic because women, what do? We operate from the heart, and we are willing to forego just about anything to help others. And sometimes when we do that, we put ourselves in a difficult situation that we lose from. But because we want to be of service, because we are all about the heart, we put ourselves in those positions. Well, I've always said, you can't help others if you can't help yourself. And so I just want to remind our listeners as we step into this month and honor, again, like I said, the women who paved the way for us. I want us to think about what were the sacrifices these women made behind the scenes to get the job done. Recently we learned of the passing of Katherine Johnson, who helped put a man on the moon. And we've lost other pioneering women. And, when we look at their stories, we think, oh my gosh, look at what they did. It's such great things and it's really changed our world. But do we really understand the sacrifice that was made behind the scenes? The hours and the time they had to give up with their family and children to make sure the job got done. The strength to withstand discrimination and harassment, for having the audacity to be present in a man's quote unquote world or field. What it must have taken physically to get up every day to go to a place where you are not wanted. It must have been so difficult. And the question is, why did they do it? Why did they risk it? And I think part of the answer is because they knew on a deeply, deeply spiritual or cellular level that this is what they were made for. I believe we all know on a deep, deep level what we're made for. But sometimes the pressures of society about staying in your place are so great that we will keep our mouth shut. And where do they say the greatest treasure is buried? In the cemetery. All the dreams, all the inventions and the cures that must have gone to the grave with the individual because they were afraid to speak out because their society said that that's not the place of a woman, or that's not the place of a colored person, or a person of your particular class. And so I want to encourage us this week, going into this week and again this month, to really not just look at these women from a surface perspective, but to look a little deeper, to understand the price that many of them paid to get us where we are. And I want us to understand that as we move forward, as we are now more and more educated about the impact and influence of negative stress on our lives and on our bodies, that we understand that we can misbehave and change history, but we also need to make sure we're taking care of ourselves as we are doing that. The misbehaving is the act of civil disobedience. It's the act of stepping into a man's world, so to speak, and becoming the first woman to do X, Y, Z. But we have to make sure that we can stay there by being physically and spiritually and emotionally well. We need to be well. And that's one of the things I definitely wanted to make sure that I addressed in this particular issue, because, again, I don't want to be Superwoman. I don't want to be her. I want to live a long, full, present, productive, misbehaving life. Right? I want to do that, but I can't do that if I let, negative stress, damage my heart and damage my lungs and put me on my knees. There are too many other things that often bring us to our knees, and our health should not be one of them. So it's important that we look behind the PR of the stories we're going to hear this month. Another woman we lost recently was B. Smith. And, we look at her and she was the first, she's a supermodel, and she launched a restaurant chain. But look at behind her story. What's behind all of that? How did she keep herself together? Because it was a challenge to be the kind of woman she was during the era that she was in. What was her support system like? And that is so important, that as you press forward and making, progress and change in your career field or whatever it is, that you have that strong support system, that you have those people to lean on, but you also practice my 3 favorite things that I use to try to help me stay grounded and healthy, which is meditation, journaling, and a strong spiritual faith. And of course, there's walking in there, making sure I eat right and stay hydrated. But those top 3, journaling, meditating, and a strong spiritual foundation, those are the cornerstones of my existence. And I just want to encourage everyone to get your cornerstone together as you press forward. So I want to leave you with the story of one woman, the words of one woman who really helped shape our country, and I think who was a forward-thinking woman, who understood that we all need each other in order to build a great country. And that woman to me is Abigail Adams. And it's funny. Abigail wrote many, many letters to her husband, John Adams, who, was part of the, here goes our American history lesson, who was a member of the Continental Congress that would create the institution that would help found this country, fighting the British to create American independence. And, John would eventually become president. Well, Abigail's letters are taught in American literature. And I'm sure she never thought her private, intimate letters would be ever taught in a lit class, but they are. And I think one of the reasons that they are taught is, number one, it shows us what life was like for women in the revolutionary and pre-revolutionary America, but it also shows us the relationship between men and women, between husband and wife, in particular this husband and wife team. And they seem to have been a team. So, because here's one of the letters that I want to share with you is the one that, historians have labeled Remember the Ladies. So this was published March 31st, 1776, or rather she wrote this to her husband March 31, 1776. And this is what she says. Quote, "I long to hear that you have declared an independency. And by the way, in the new code of laws, which I suppose it will be necessary for you to make, I desire you would remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. Do not put such unlimited power into the hands of husbands. Remember, all men would be tyrants if they could. If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation." End quote. How powerful is that? Of course, you can Google that and read it again. But she is saying that we are a part of this country too. And as we again look at the women who are running for president at this time, as we look at the many women who are now in the House of Representatives, the Congress, as we look at many women who are paving the way for others in career fields and pathways that have never existed for women, I want to remind you that we are all in this together and that we need every voice that is possible to bring to the table, that your gender should not exclude you from the conversation. And so as we again celebrate Women's Her Story Month, I want to remind you that as we're paving these ways, as we're pressing forward on history, take care of yourselves. Emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically, let's take care of ourselves. And let's remember that we need one another. We absolutely need one another. So again, I thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this message was inspiring for you today in some way, or at least you got a great history lesson. Again, go to our website, rlpproductions.com. While you're there, you can see the link to subscribe to our monthly magazine, the Lemonade Mindset magazine, as well as our weekly newsletter. This week in our newsletter, we are talking about Abigail, and we also have some other great information in there, like our Song of the Week. And I hope you will follow us on social media. We are on Twitter at ProductionsRLP, as well as at Rebecca Pierce. We're on Instagram under Rebecca Lynn Pierce. We're on Facebook, of course, as Productions RLP or Rebecca L. Pierce. I hope you will follow us. We have some great things happening at the company, with our new TV show, Beyond the Plate RVA, as well as some other projects we're working on coming out soon. And I hope that you will, again, share with us your great stories, your words of inspiration. Feel free to email us. Our email address is on our website again at rlpproductions.com. And with that, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.